So, Oregon's trying to win an NCAA tournament game for the second straight year. I'm not going to say the stat. I'll hopefully wait until after a win. I will have a reaction show. Win, lose, or, well, those are the only two outcomes, of course. Against Liberty tonight. I'll talk about that game more in a moment. But a rare basketball mailbag question came through, which I'm always down for. Mailbag question: do you agree Nate Bittle was snubbed from an All-American team? Not even an honorable mention. He and Jackson Shellstad were both third-team All-Big Ten. Nate Bittle and TJ Bamba were both the All-Big Ten defensive team. But no, actually, I don't think Nate Bittle was snubbed from an All-American selection. Now, Bittle is having an outstanding year. You may or may not know that he's Oregon's leading scorer on the season. Shellstad is second. They've got 4 guys that average double-digit points per game on the year, which is this Oregon team in a nutshell. And then you've got Angel that averages 7.5 and Evans that averages 6. This is an incredibly deep, capable offense, and they have played well in large part for the last couple of months. But it's the NCAA tournament, so anything could happen. Though I was with you when you first sent in this question. This came from DWC Sports. That, yeah, man, I really think he should have. I mean, he's, on a watch list for one of the best big men in the country. He's having, this great year, 14 points, 7.5 boards, over 2 blocks a game. Like, how is he not in there? I don't even know that he was close or that he should have been close, which is not to say he didn't have a great season. He did. And is still having, and hopefully continues having, a great season for the Ducks. And hopefully comes back next year for a 5th season with Oregon, which he has the ability to do. But when you go look at the numbers, because I was perusing the All-American teams, his numbers don't compare. And I think for an Oregon team that, was in the national spotlight early, faded a bit, heated up late, ended the season ranked inside the AP top 25, Oregon has the pedigree to get a guy onto an All-American team, but his numbers simply aren't there. There is some crazy good bigs. On the third-team All-American team, on the third-team All-American team for college basketball this year, you've got Hunter Dickinson, who himself is an incredibly veteran big, and his numbers are just better than Nate Bittle's. And you go look at guys that are on the honorable mention team, and you realize, yeah, their numbers are just better. You've got guys like Ryan Kolkbrenner over at Creighton, and Creighton slashed Louisville in the first round in Lexington, by the way, like an hour or so drive from Louisville's campus, and Creighton just absolutely obliterated them from the jump. And, we should remember how good Creighton is because they beat Oregon last year. Oregon should have beaten them, but Creighton's a really good program, good team, and Kolkbrenner's at the center of it all, literally, because his numbers are phenomenal. He's like 19 points and 9.5 rebounds a game or so. And you go look at the rest of the bigs, Bittle doesn't have the numbers to stack up. Now, if I were Dana Altman, I'd be whispering in Nate Bittle's ear, they didn't even give you an honorable mention. You were third team All-Big Ten. Say whatever you want. Call Dan Lanning and say, hey, what sort of movie should I show before film breakdown in our team meeting to get Nate Bittle in the right mindset here? Because we all know Lanning is great at that. Oh, man. I can't wait for those Ducks versus them videos to return. Anyway, so no, I don't think he was snubbed. Third team All-Big Ten along with Shellstad. I think it was pretty appropriate. The Big Ten's got 8 teams in the Big Dance, and so far they're doing pretty darn well, and hopefully Oregon continues that trend. But as crazy as it sounds, it's just a deep lineup of bigs in college basketball this year, and 14 to 15 points a game and 7.5 boards and 2 blocks. Yeah, that does not make you one of the 3 or 4 best statistical centers in the country this season. But that leads up to tonight against Liberty, as you're listening to or watching this show, where the Ducks are taking on the 12-seeded Flames, and it will be harder to beat Liberty in basketball than it was in football. If you remember, I believe the final score was 45-6. That was Bo Nix's final game, and that was a bittersweet day. Nice to go out with a win, but wasn't the game that Oregon was hoping to play in. But that's where Oregon football's at. Win a Fiesta Bowl. Yawn. That was not a real yawn, by the way, but it sounded really good, at least on my end. Anyway, so beating Liberty in basketball is going to be significantly tougher because you're greater talent doesn't have as great a chance to shine through because you only have 5 guys on the field at a time, on the court rather, instead of 11 guys on the field, which is why you see more upsets in college basketball. So Oregon's favored in this game. They should be. I think they are going to win. I don't know how easy it's going to be, but Nate Bittle could be in for a big game. He is every inch of 7 feet tall. He releases the ball up high, not just on his jump shot and his fadeaway, but on his hook shots as well. He does a great job, not getting his shots blocked a lot. He could be in for a huge game because Liberty's a small team. One of their guards is under 6 feet tall. They don't play any bigs that are taller than 6'9". So he's going to have at least a 3-inch advantage on anybody who's trying to guard him. Now, maybe he sees a host of double teams, Kalkbrenner over at Creighton saw a bunch earlier today being as I record this show, and Creighton was able to hit a bunch of threes as a result. Well, if that's the strategy that Liberty comes at Oregon with when they try to get the ball to Nate Bittle, he's got to be able to make the right pass. And I think Nate Bittle's a really good passer. I think of a lot of times this year when he's found KJ Evans or Brandon Angel cutting to the basket for an easy 2, kickouts for 3. Oregon's got to be able to move the ball and set themselves up in the right spots to play offense the way they're capable. Again, if that's where Liberty goes, and I just suspect that if they don't start there, doubling in the post automatically, it'll get there. Because if you're going to throw some Conference USA 6'9" bigs at Nate Bittle, he's going to go for 25 to 30 points. Maybe they're comfortable with that. That's what Oregon did to Luka Garza a couple of years ago in the NCAA tournament when they played Iowa as a 7 seed. That game against VCU got vacated because of COVID within VCU's program, and then they played Iowa. And by the second half, they were blowing them out. I think Garza had like 28 points and 12 rebounds. And they said, yeah, we'll let you take as many as you want. We just need to contain all these other guys. And that turned out to be a really good strategy. So at some point, how Oregon handles the double team in the post is going to be there. If not, then Bittle could have the sort of game he had against Washington when he put up a career-high 36 up in Seattle to end the regular season. Same city, different arena, but Bittle could be in for a huge game. And I think Oregon tries to establish him early and often in this one because of that size mismatch and forces Liberty to adjust. And I also suspect that defensively he should have a good game, but he's got to stay out of foul trouble. That has been the one bugaboo for Bittle at times this year. I think he has been screwed. I mean screwed by officials throughout the course of this year. That happens when you're a big guy, but he has been on the wrong end of bad calls at both ends of the floor a lot. I don't know why. I've seen it more with him than anybody else. I felt like Dante, got a lot of calls because he was so physical. I feel like Bittle gets punished for being a big guy down there sometimes. So he does commit some fouls that are not necessary or not smart, and he's got to stay away from those. But if he does, I think he's in for a big game. I don't know that, the All-American snub is something that the Oregon staff could legitimately play into, but hey, you do whatever you do to get your guys motivated for the game. So, Oregon, Liberty, all their reactions show up later tonight. Talk to you then. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and go Ducks.